All right, thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Heidi Fish and I'm the Sales and Marketing Director here at North Point Geographic Solutions. Thank you for joining our Q4 Geospatial Lunch and Learn. Today we're going to be talking about Esri's ArcGIS Experience Builder. And I'm very grateful that Josh Dunsmore and Cray Freestone are going to be presenting, and you will not have to listen to me today for once. So as you hop on, please mute yourself. And if you're willing, share in the chat where you're from, where you're joining us from, and feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation. If it makes sense to interrupt, we will. Otherwise, we'll make sure all of your questions are answered at the end. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Josh.
All right, thanks, Heidi. I'll share my slides here. All right, can you guys see that, Heidi? All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm Josh Dunsmore. I'm a GIS web developer here at North Point. I'm with Cray today. I'm going to be just giving a high-level overview of Experience Builder, what it is, and how it kind of fits into the Esri universe of applications and products that they have. So I'll go over that and how to get started and set up with it, and then kind of go over just some basics of, why you would use it on your next project, or why you might want to try to find a different product from Esri to use on your next product or project. So I'll get started. Yeah, so Experience Builder is kind of Esri's newest product for creating web applications. And I think what Esri had in mind with Experience Builder is just building a platform that's more flexible than what they've kind of put out there in the past. So while maps are synonymous with Esri, you can, of course, create a map-based application that uses 2D maps or 3D scenes. But they kind of went a step further with this product by not limiting you to map-based applications. So you can have scrolling page apps or multi-page apps, and you can do kind of all of that with little to no code. While you can get set up with little or no code, the developer edition of Experience Builder kind of extends the capabilities of it. So you can do some more intense customization, creating widgets and themes and your own templates and features and things like that. Experience Builder is built into ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise. So if you get logged in there, you can access it in the web tray. It does require a creator user type or above, so just keep that in mind if you do try to access it. And then Developer Edition, you would go through the developers.arcgis.com, download the Developer Edition, and then follow the installation steps to get set up there. And kind of the general workflow of getting set up with a project, you're going to hit the Experience Builder page, start a new project, and then you're going to instantly be kind of asked what template you want to get started with. So Esri provides you with like 30 pre-built templates, based on purpose and function of the app that you want to create. Or they can also allow you to build your own template and get started that way. The next step would be to connect to some data. So you might have a web map or some feature services that you want to bring into the application. So you get those added to your project, and then you can start adding in different features and widgets that you can start connecting to your data to create, fully functioning application. And then when you're ready to share that, you would just save it, publish it, and then share it with your audience, whether it be within your organization or clients or something like that. If you're familiar with Esri's products or have built web applications with their products before, you might be familiar with something like Web App Builder. And this might sound a lot like Web App Builder, but there are some key distinctions. Experience Builder is created with the newest JavaScript API, and that flexibility that they built into it does differ a little bit from Web App Builder. And while Esri will be maintaining the enterprise and ArcGIS online editions of both of those, they will be maintained in parallel. The developer edition of Web App Builder was created with the previous version of the JavaScript API. So that will probably be going away sooner than later. So that might be something that you think about when you're choosing one over the other in your next project. Web App Builder, being the more mature platform, does have kind of more out of the box tools and features that you can drop into your project. In Experience Builder, although not quite there yet, they plan to get it pretty close. So they'll be rolling out more features to Experience Builder with updates and things like that. So just to kind of summarize why you might choose one over the other in your next project. I really think what sets Experience Builder apart is the flexibility. So if you are creating a non-map based application, I think Experience Builder is definitely the way to go because it just provides you a little more flexibility there. Web App Builder is kind of more of a single page map centric type of product. So Experience Builder does give you more options there. It's also more adaptable to mobile, just straight out of the box, like they built it with mobile adaptability in mind. And then since it is built on the updated JavaScript API, you get a pretty good improved performance and services and tools and things like that. So you could gain some efficiency there as well. Kind of some of the other things, the widgets in Experience Builder can interact with one another. So say you have an app that has two views, you have a 2D map, you can link it to a 3D view, and they can kind of zoom together at the same time. And as I said, just kind of the mobile experience of the end product is going to be more polished than Web App Builder, which is more of like a mobile friendly type of thing that you might need to do some custom CSS or something like that on. But, there are some reasons why you'd still use Web App Builder. If you knew that you had to use specific widgets or something like that, you may only find those in Web App Builder, and you can go to the developers page and read the guides for either or, and it will kind of tell you what is currently in there or not. And then just know also that if you have a previous application that was built in Web App Builder and you customize widgets or something like that, they aren't directly transferable to Experience Builder. So they'll probably have to be rewritten using like the updated JavaScript API or something like that. So just know that, what's old is not going to automatically transfer into Experience Builder. So yeah, if you want more information, Esri does have a good guide on Experience Builder. So just go out to the developers.arcgis.com Experience Builder page and take a look at that. It does give a good overview of all the things that are ready to go out of the box and how to kind of get started and set up with that. So I think with that, I'll pass it over to Cray so he can kind of show all of this in action.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
All right. Share the screen. And hopefully everyone can see that all right. So like Josh said, you would want to, once you navigate to Experience Builder through the tray through ArcGIS Online, or you can go straight to experience.arcgis.com and it will take you to this, assuming you're logged in. The first page will show you all the experiences that you have built before, any custom templates that you have made over here before. And other than that, there's just a big button to create a new one. So that is what I'm going to do. So as soon as you click create new, you'll be given a list of all the templates that are available to you. These are all the default ones. You can also find some through Living Atlas or any that you made before. But I'm just going to look at the default one. Some of these will look pretty familiar if you have used Web App Builder before, such as the Launchpad, Dart. There's probably some newer ones down here that are more in line with what Experience Builder excels at. But for the sake of familiarity, I am just going to create the Launchpad one. So I'll click Create. and it will set everything up for me. And so I'll first go over this, let's see, this top bar right here. So it's going to load just a standard blank web map. Right here below, you can zoom in and out to see the entirety of this page. You can also, there's a button down here to zoom to 100% or just fit the width to the current window so you can see the entire page. Up here, the lock layout is going to allow you to make changes to this page. So this lock layout is here because they have a specific template that they made. So in order to make sure you don't accidentally mess up something and move a title where it wasn't originally, then that's why that lock layout's there. Live view lets you simulate actually interacting with the map. So clicking on these widgets, zooming in, all of that. So by default, that is disabled. These three views here simulate other devices. So the standard computer, something smaller like a tablet. Again, you can click this button on the bottom right to fit the width. I guess not necessarily the height. And you can also do a smaller device like a cell phone. So I am just going to keep it as a computer. These two will be very useful, an undo and redo button, which I don't believe was available in Experience Builder. Save your changes, well, right there. Preview, this will actually launch it into its own window, and which is similar to Experience Builder. And then publish. So the difference between save and publish is save just changes whatever you're working on right now, and publish actually makes it available to whoever you shared it with. So you could kind of have a draft version going on if you made a bunch of saves, but you didn't publish any of your changes. So that's something good to keep in mind. I believe there are share settings that you can access here. You can generate templates from whichever changes you made here. So that's the top bar. The left bar will include widgets up here. That's what that plus button is. The only reason it's grayed out is because the layout is locked right now. So per this template, whoever made the template is saying we kind of have everything we need here right now. But if we did want to customize it a little bit more, we could toggle off the lock layout, go into the widget list, and here are all the widgets that are available to us. Some of them will look familiar from Web App Builder, such as legend and map layers and bookmark, and others have more to do with the layout of the page. So you can create sidebars, divvy up stuff into rows and columns. Views navigation will let you go from page to page. I'm not showing that right now just because this is a single page application. So you'll notice that you do have some of the widgets that you want, and you don't have some of the others that you want, which is a shame. Such as the print widget is a pretty big one, and it is not in here, but they are slowly adding more. Per the Experience Builder roadmap, I thought I saw that they're going to add the print widget at least in this quarter, but since they recently came out with a release and it's not there, something tells me it's going to be something that's released next year. So adding a widget is as easy as just say, okay, if I want the bookmarks widget, I can just drag and drop it. And this will have to, and I'll go over how to actually set these up later, but as far as adding layout items or basic widgets, you can just drag and drop there. I'm just going to click this delete button and get rid of it for right now. So widgets, next page is for basically the structure of your experience builder. So this is everything that is on this page. So right now, all that includes is a map, a widget controller, which you can add widgets to, kind of makes everything look nice. And then there is a text element as well, where it will hold my title. And so if I do add, if I go back and add that bookmark widget, I would expect to see it in my page, so I can see all of this stuff here. And I can even drill down and go into all of these widgets here. So if you ever see something like, oh, it's kind of strange that when I go over map layers, it says map layers 1, you can just go in here and should be able to just rename it, name it whatever you really want to, and then that will be fixed. Similarly, I believe you can delete stuff either by pressing this button or by going into this little menu over here. You can duplicate it. You can arrange it based on, should it be on top of another widget? Should it be behind any other widgets? You can kind of decide that. I'm just going to delete it. So you can think of this as sort of the skeleton of it all. The next page is all of the data that your Experience Builder application will be interacting with. So this can be feature layers, it can be tables, stuff like that. And we'll get to that more later. And the next one here is the theme. So you can really drill down and make all of these elements its own custom color. Or you can go in here and just change the themes around, and it will kind of change everything based off these pre-built templates. If you don't like any of the pre-built templates, you can always customize and make your own, decide what should all the primary colors be and everything along that line. I'm just going to keep it as default. So that covers the top and the left bar. The right side is where you control all the aspects of whatever object or element that you are selecting. So for example, if I select this text element, you see that I have 2 tabs available to me to modify it. I have a content tab and I have a style tab. Different elements will have different options to them. So if I select the map element right here, I will have a content, style, and action. But for right now, I'm just going to go into the content. I can, double click this and just say cool new title. I can change how I want it to look. I'll probably just keep that text, but I could make it bigger text. I can expand this out so it can show my new title. I can also add character effects, which might be a little hard to see. You can kind of see the changes there. It's a little cheesy, but I suppose there must be some utility for that. Change the format. So this all has to deal with the content that is inside of your element. And then the next tab is style. So if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of what should the exact size, like the width and the height be, you can do that. You can keep the aspect ratio. So if you only want to change one of these attributes, change the rotation. If you have any elements that scroll to view, you can put in animations. There's honestly a lot of stuff in here that you probably won't end up touching, but the basic idea to take home here is that if you want to style a specific widget, that should be available in a style tab. You also have a lot of operations here. If you need to bring any elements to the forefront, if you need to align it or snap it anywhere, those are all available to you here. And yeah, I mean, you can add borders and style it however you want. That's a little hard to see. So there's that cool new title. You can create a custom box shadow if you want. So the next one I'm going to customize will be the map. Here we have similar idea, but the options here are very different from the text box, and that'll hold true for all different widgets. They'll all have their own just very specific content style actions, if actions are available on that widget. So here you can either keep the default map or you can select your own map. And so I'm going to select a map. Now, when I click select map, it's going to say what data do I want to input as this map. As of right now, in my Experience Builder project, I don't have any data in here. So if I go into my data tab, there's nothing here. What can make Experience Builder sometimes confusing is there's a few ways to do the same thing, which is nice for flexibility, but can be kind of confusing for new users. So here I'm just going to click add new data, but just so you know, that's the equivalent of add data over here. And it'll pull up data in my ArcGIS Online account. So I made a demo map. Just going to select done. So we'll see that was added to my data tab here as well. And it was also added here. I'm just going to select this map that I added, and it should zoom me over to that area once it loads. And so this is just a simple map showing active COVID cases in Minnesota. And now I have this map available to me. I can either use the default initial view of the web map, or I can set my own custom one. And I believe it will just let me probably zoom in maybe one more tick if I want to. But if it's not going to load, it's not terribly important. So maybe I'll just zoom in once more, and it should show up like that. You can always hit save. And over here are all the tools that I can add. So I do have the layers widget down here, so this wouldn't necessarily be necessary. I can add layers, and you can start to see it get added over here. Base map, I can just add all of these. The select tool, scale bar, all of this will start to just get added in there. I can change where do I want the tools to be. And yeah, what do you want the selection highlight to look like? As far as style, there's not really a lot you'd probably want to style your web map with, unless maybe you wanted a, I don't know, a thick border. You could add that in there. And again, you can create box shadows. I'm going to select the map again. Now, the interesting part is, if anybody has used dashboards before, you might be familiar with the concept of adding triggers. So when you interact with one widget, it affects how another widget interacts. It can highlight stuff, it can filter, it can aggregate data. So for this example, and I realize I have 5 minutes left, so I will hurry it on up. You can insert a table. And we're just going to pretend that this looks like a good layout for right now. And right now there's no data connected to it. So I'm going to click new sheet, select data. It is able to see that I have a web map and then see what feature layer is inside of that web map. So it's going to be the counties data trend over here. And it should pull up all of the data that's in that attribute table. I can select whichever style I want. There's not a lot of content options here. Whichever style, and then there are actions here as well. But for now, I'm just going to focus on the web map actions. And so here, I'm going to add a trigger what I want it to do is when I zoom into a specific area, I only want to see those rows of data that are actually in my view in the web map. So I'm going to click add trigger. The trigger that I want for this web map that are available to me right now is either when the extent changes, so when I'm zooming around, or record selection changes. So when I use the selection tool up here and select a county, I'm just going to select extent change. There's only one option for the target that I'm setting this up for, so I'm going to select framework, and there's only one option available again for filtered data records. For the action that I want to take, saying what data am I going to filter, I'm going to select the counties, and that should be all that I need. If I did want more conditions, I could set up some SQL statements, which are available to you. And this should be working now. So if I went into the live view and just zoomed over here, it should update, and I should see about 3 rows of data. And I can see all those in here. So yeah, nice. Let's see, 2 more minutes. So I'll just show one more thing. I'm going to delete this table because I don't need it anymore. Oh, I need to get out of the live view to make sure that I can actually change these objects. If I switch over to the, say, cell phone view, you notice that it doesn't look great. The search address bar is over my cool new title. And I might not want that. Maybe on the mobile view, I don't actually want a search bar in there. You can either accept the auto template or you can go to custom. And basically this will mean that you will have a different type of template for each device, which could be cumbersome to maintain, but in some instances, you might want to put the extra effort to make sure it looks good for mobile users, which isn't an option that you had in Web App Builder before. So I'm just going to say OK, and then I can go and click my web map, get rid of the, I'm trying to find the search there. And it's looking pretty decent now that I have that there. I can click save, and then mobile users will be able to hopefully interact with it better. You could also just change the layout and have the title just be up further and, you know, squish the map down. So that was a lot, but that's there's an introduction to Experience Builder.
Awesome. Thanks, Cray. There is a question that just popped up into the chat. Can local data be used also, or only AGOL data?
Can oh, let me read which data. Okay, can local data be used? I believe only data that is available to ArcGIS Online. So it either has to live in ArcGIS Online, or I think as of recently, you could add in different web services that were not necessarily ArcGIS Online, as long as it's a URL that you have access to. But for the most part, yeah, you'd want it to be uploaded to your organization to use.
Okay. I have a question actually about the different formats. So if you're like, if you change it over to mobile and you do custom and you start moving things around so you can see them, do you have to like maintain 2 separate things? Like if you change something on layout A, you have to change it in B. Does any of it transpose from your layouts?
I don't believe so. I think that's what the warning message is about, that when you do switch that, you're going to have to be maintaining like 2 different versions. So it's kind of a good idea to get that squared away before you do break them. So less work, make sure you have it pretty finalized so you can maybe fine tune mobile first.
Okay. And then there's another question. Do you have an example of a multiple page project?
I don't.
Public.
Well, yeah, I was trying to think of one that I've made one before. There are some good templates out there that you can have multi-page edits, but they have, so some of those page layout widgets that you can put in there, they have some specifically from going one page to another, which is nice. They're a little more tricky to figure out, but they're, they can be pretty nice. But I would say this Experience Builder has much more of a learning curve than Web App Builder has. So maybe try to learn it slowly so that when you eventually have to switch, it's not as much of a pain.
Okay. I know we're at time. Any other questions? Otherwise, Cray and Josh, if you wouldn't mind dropping your email addresses in the chat, so if someone has a follow-up question, they can reach out to you. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to jump on today. If you ever have any questions or ideas for future topics that you'd like to learn more about, please shoot me a message. I'll put my email address in there as well. We always would love to have your feedback on different topics that you're looking for training on. So we'll make sure to send out this recording so you have it for future reference. And thanks again for taking the time and jumping on today.